Welcome to the second training session under the Technological Infrastructures Capacity Programme. We hope you find it informative.
I'm Fatima Mateos. I'm patent specialist. I'm from a little city in the south of Spain, Cáceres. It's very beautiful. But I moved to Madrid a few years ago to study chemistry in the University Complutense of Madrid. After this, I studied a master's degree in economic management and profitability analysis of research and development projects. I started in the IP world in 2011 in the field of this intellectual property, specializing in patents. I have experience in drafting patents and technological reports like patentability and infringements, patent prosecution, filing and prosecution, and a specific type of IP assess, that is supplementary protection certificates, that is very special because it's only for pharmaceutical patents. It's an extension of the validity of the patents. Is plus 20 years plus up to 5 years, okay? But it's very specific for pharmaceutical patents for active principle. For example, in ibuprofen, this is the active principle, and you can obtain extra protection, okay, about the patent. Drafting response to official action and other tasks proper to my post as patent specialist. This is the agenda for today. First of all, we develop the definition of technological scouting. Okay, that is very specific. Second, we will review the relevant factors in IP protection and management. We divide or split this relevant factor in three: legal, technology, and human resource. We will develop this task more or less. Okay, and we will finish with a practical part. We have two study cases. The first is a real case, okay, from one of my clients, and it's very easy to understand. It's a type of material, but it's very easy to understand that I will explain you how to found similar innovations in patent databases, okay, related with this technology, okay? First of all, what is technological scouting? Probably is the first time that you know this. Of management, technology management, in which emerging technology are identified. So you identify what are the technology. Technological scouting is like you put a glasses to search what is in my around my technology or my innovation. Okay, it's like to spy something. Okay, the technology related to information is a channel into an organization, so it's needed for an organization to know how is the technology, where is the technology, what are the technology development, okay, and support the acquisition of technology, because sometimes we don't have sufficient source to develop the technology, and probably is more cheaper or is cheaper to acquire the technology to one of our competitors or other partners, okay? What is innovation scouting? Pues large organizations are often faced with hard barriers when it comes to continuously researching and developing new innovations. So smart companies are now looking and implementing innovation scouting process. So what is around my technology, okay? And the companies now search the markers of interest for our technology. It doesn't make sense if we protect an innovation in China if we don't have a market in China. So it's very interesting made a technological scouting not only related to our technology, in our market, in the interest of the clients or the customers about our technology. So it's very important to make a search about all these things that affect the development of our technology and the obtain money or the monetization of our technology. The technology scouts hoping to find the next big thing. What it mean? Multinationals have a new weapon in the innovation rate. Technology scouts, like the legends of talents of coding the music and modeling industries that can be from them. These people looking for the next big thing. Okay, it's only what I have development a new material. Okay, what is new in this material is interesting for what industry? In the automobilistic or is for construction or whatever. What are the main competitors or the main barriers in the markets of our interest? So we need to first have make like a drawing, like a mapping of our technology. The technology scouting, for summarize all of this, is a survey and collection of information on technology in order to assess which are strategic in each area, because sometimes it's important the innovation about the material, but sometimes it's not. It's important the market, know the material. So it's very important to find all the information, to collect and organize the information and extract the important information that we need to develop our business. Okay? What are the relevant factors in the IP protection and management? I divide these factors in three. Okay? The protection of IP involves different aspects that must be considered. Okay? Globally, when we want to ensure the protection of IP is created, we need to try to find the answer to the questions in our legal basis, the technology and the human resource inside our companies. Okay, the legal part is divided in IP regulation because all the patents and intellectual property assets are national assets. So in Portugal, it's about the legal regulation that is in Portugal. In Spain, is the same. So it's very important to take into account the IP regulation of the market that we are interested in protect. The ownership is very important. Patricia, my colleague Patricia, talks in the last workshop that the ownership is very important. Is who is the owner of the rights? Okay, the rights and obligation with inventors. This is normally in the contracts. It's regulated in the contracts. Okay, in the companies and research and development industry and in the universities. And model agreements requires. Sometimes is needed a non-disclosure agreement to don't spare the technology and the knowledge and have some problems. The IP regulation is to establish and define the entities, IP policies, procedures, ownership, relationship with the inventors, the relationship with third parties, in research and development projects, IP protection policy for disclosure and publications, okay? And very important to identify contact point for question on IP, okay? Responsible for updating the regulations is very important. And a chain of authorization in IP matter is very important to have a cycle between the IP regulation. We have the updating regulation because it's changing constantly. Okay, you have a link here that is a template of the policies that can be implemented in university and research institutions. It's a version of 2019, but we can write the web page and we can send you. Other important factor is the ownership and inventors. Before starting a new research and development project, the question of ownership of the IP produced and the definition of possible benefits for inventors should be addressed. It's very important, even more relevant in collaborative projects. How is the owner of this development? If I do a new material in collaboration with other institutions, who is the owner of this new material? Me? The other partner? So it's very important to establish the ownership and inventors in related to the IP. Other aspect, and this you can find in internet, a lot of templates about confidential agreement, material transfer agreement, particular importance in the pharmaceutical sector, agreement for the exchange of staff, students or trainees, contracts for technological development or collaborative research and development, license agreement, exclusive and non-exclusive, and a spin-off creation contract. And a spin-off is a new company that emerged from a research and development department or university. So it's very important to establish the rules or the limits of the contract, of the ownership of the invention, of the creations, because sometimes enters in the conflict that, oh, it's mine because I developed me in my time, but you use the resource of the university or the research and development program. So it's very difficult to establish a line to divide the invention. So it's very important to be concerned or to take into account that agreements are very, very, very important. When you send an information to probably a new partner, it's important and confidentiality agreement, NDA, non-disclosure agreement, to maintain this disclosure in private, because it is public or the other part use this information. Probably you have the bad things in this case, because they stole your invention, and it's very common. It's not rare. It's very common. So I think that this type of agreements is. I think that, for example, IS Scientific for me is okay. It's legal. It's for a lawyer. It's not for me. But probably we need a lawyer or contract a lawyer to see this type of model agreements, because I think this is very important. The other factor that is very important is the technology, of course, the comprehensive knowledge of existing IP, the measuring of the IP's potential, the degree of the development. We will see this is like a scale, okay, with a number of the degree of the development, and IP and market application, the possibility of technology transfer. For these all factors in the technology, it's very important to make a technology screening form. I think that probably fill a form is a boring task, but it's very important to have summarize all our assets and our development, because you need to take into account all the things that I have and what can I do to development or obtain money from these things, because sometimes it's something that is not new. So probably I don't have the chance to file a patent application, but it's important to summarize and obtain all the things that are around. Now we explain with an example of a technological screening form, and you understand this better. For each technology, you need to identify the need or the problem that this technology solves, okay? And what is necessary technological roadmap, technological areas and step in this research and development project is the idea, the development in the laboratory, for example, on obtain a prototype of a new material, a new device, and put this device in the market, okay? Okay. For measuring the technological potential and positioning, we need to go to the innovation cycle. It's a cycle because when you finish, you start again, because you learn in the cycle something to change your initial vision of the technology, okay? You have the first step of creation, is like Patricia says, okay? Creation, protection, exploitation, and defense. Okay, creation, it is new. What are my competitors doing? With whom should collaborate? In collaborations, what can and I cannot I share is very important. For the protection is what success have I generate? When should I protect? How much it will cost me to protect? Is very important. How should I protect? And where should I protect? Okay? How, when, what is very important to answer these questions. The exploitation, how much is the development worth? How can I monetize it? Which market should I go to? Who might be interested? And in the defense, what are my competitors doing? And what are my employees or suppliers doing? For the two first steps, the creation and protection, the IP is very, very important, because you have a map, okay? You have a roadmap, and you say, okay, this is my new creation, my new innovation, can be protected by a patent, probably. If I have a patent, in which countries? Or where are doing my competitors in this type of technology specifically, no? So it's very important to carry out a survey of ongoing technologies and technological projects to identify these problems, to identify the necessary stakeholders, so the groups of the person to be involved, taking into account their competence for the implementation and development of the technological roadmap, and identify if the technological area is strategic for the university or the research and development project, depending on what internal competence, okay? Scouting, this type of surveillance is time consuming, I know, but it's not possible to select all emerging technologies. No, it's all materials. No, polymeric, okay. A specific type of polymeric, okay. It's more concrete. So it's essential to identify strategic areas. So focus on my technology, my specific technology. I develop a new biopolymer. Okay, biopolymers is okay, but new materials or polymer materials is very, very large. So it's impossible to make a good survey or a good surveillance about this field because it's very large. So it's very important to make a technological screening form. You can see we will show you the parts of this type of form. We'll send you the web page to access to the screening form. Okay. The first of all is a title, of course. The present technological form is intended to provide a clear and accurate information about ongoing projects. To pass this type of form to the next level, to person has decided to, okay, this technology have found, so it's okay, we go to the next step, or no more funds and stop. Okay, so this is our typical information. The information to establish a project profile. Okay, the first is an internal research and development project, yes or not. If not, is an internal research and development project, we need to analyze the competence of each person that participates in this internal and research and development project. Okay, it's a collaborative research and find, okay, yes, no. What is the project leader, the department, some things that are more formal, okay? But things very important, okay? What events lead to the project, response to clients, considering an strategic research and development area for academia, or operations needs for a particular technological solution, or others. So first of all is, okay, I have a purpose, and the purpose is response to a client needs of a new material, okay? Or other is consider a strategic R&D are for academic, probably is a basic investigation, okay? It's a development, yes, but is in other area. Other important point is a description of the activities, okay? The technological field, the technological classification. The technological classification, for example, is very useful when we decide to go to a patent, because you can protect a product, a method, a use in only one patent. Okay, but need to be related. It's a product, it's a new biopolymer, a method to produce this biopolymer, and the use of this biopolymer, for example, for bags, or for other type, for a desk, or for other types. Okay. The keywords is important because you can see that when you search in patent databases, it's very important to use words. I will show you other things that you can use except the words. So, for example, a classification of patents, and I will show you how to search these type of classifications. Some previous reference to see, okay, I identify a competitor, a patent of a competitor, or a paper of a colleague that is very important for this research and development project. The barriers of the development of this project, okay, the financial resource, sometimes it is, an awareness of the system of public mechanism and support for this area, probably. Specificity inherent of the area of activity and associated technologies. The difficulty in identify potential partners entity. So we don't have a market, probably it's a niche market, so or others. So it's very important to take into account that what are the existing barriers now we have with the development of this product. It's very expensive, probably, and we don't have in the market because someone is making a similar material in a cheapest way, okay? Or we don't have support in the university or on the research and development institution, and we need to find external financial, okay? And to finish this form, it's important to consider what is the state or in what step is the level of the development of the project, okay? It's a basic principle, so it's okay, I read something about the biopolymers, but I don't know, I need to investigate more. Okay, it's type of one. Okay, but I have a formulation of typical biopolymers. Okay, it's part 2, technology concept formulated. Experimental proof of concept. Okay, I made a little bag with this type of material. Perfect. Technology validated in lab. We see that the bag is not disintegrated in the last 24 hours. Okay, it's okay. 5, for example, technology validated in relevant environment. I made this bag and I take to my mom, I go to the market and okay, it's okay, this bag made with my biopolymer material. Perfect. Technology demonstrated in relevant environment. System prototype demonstration in operational environment normally is when as a device or a method, for example, for management waste in the residues or something like this. A system complete and qualified is in the production, of course, an actual system proven in operational environment. Probably the research and development is in the first, in the 1, 2, 3, 4, probably 5, okay? The 6, 7, and 8, and 9 probably is more complicated in a multinational or something like this, but probably in the university on research and development industry is not the same because you need a lot of money to develop these things. So it's important furthermore, too, what are the mechanisms to monitor these technological developments and competitive active? It's very important because you need an observatory of technology. An observatory of technology, you don't need a lot of people searching like monkeys in a PC, okay? You need to formulate, okay, what I need to investigate about biopolymers, for example, and I searched in databases about articles, okay, scientific articles, but what are the patents? Or what are the other papers or other products that are in the market and probably we don't know if it's protected or not? Probably we can firm or have a cross-license or a license with a competitor or a partnership. So it's very important to monitor the technological development. In the research and development departments, it's very typical to find the papers, the scientific papers. But it's not very common to find the patent databases. And it's very, very useful. And I think that is not it's easy. I show you how to do this. But I think that it's very important to have all the information around our technology that can be observed. Okay? It's important to know what are our competitors. Okay? Other part that is related to the legal part is the do the project team, internal, external contracts have confidentiality clauses? Because sometimes the information is stolen. So if you have an engineering in your company and goes to other company, they go to the all know-how. So it's very important to have contracts of confidentiality about all the projects. And do the projects contracts have IP inventorship and ownership clause? It's very important if you are the inventor of a patent, you have the right to be mentioned in the patent. But the right of the ownership is to the applicant. For example, you work in a company. The applicant is the company A, and you are the inventor. You don't have the right of the patent. You have the right of be mentioned in the patent, but you don't have the right. You cannot sell the patent. So the ownership is very important. You can receive some money for this patent, but this is regulated with your contract with your company, okay? And if you don't have regulated, it's very important to regulate it. In your R&D activities, when you collaborate with a research center and or companies, are collaboration of R&D contracts? Sim, it's mean, okay, you have all these things under control or not. It's very important to have contracts and to have all things very clear, because when you develop in a partnership and a collaboration with other institutions a new invention, it's very important to know how is the ownership of the patent, of the invention, okay? And in your R&D activities, when you collaborate with research center or our companies are non-disclosure agreement seen, it's very important. So it's important this type of legal aspect. So it's important to have in one hand the legal aspect and in the other one the technological aspects, okay? When we talk about the technological aspect, we need to know the state of the art. What is the state of the art? The state of the art consists in everything that is related to the public, including patents, non-patents, or scientific literature, or any existing product. So before you file a patent application, it's very important to not communicate near public the information before the application of the patent, because you are, for example, you file a patent application yesterday, but the last week you made an interview with the Research and Development Institution webpage, and you published all the information about my new biopolymer material is very interesting, have this, all the features, and you file the application later. Your disclosure in this webpage is a state of the art. So it's very important if you want to protect through a patent an innovation to don't disclose anything in a web page or a YouTube or TikTok. It's very important. Never. In social media, never. If you send the information, for example, for your boss, it's a confidential agreement, so it's okay, but you don't need to be public, because when you search, for me, it's not important that this belongs to you. No, for me, it's a public disclosure before your patent. So it's important, okay? The importance of conducting a state-of-the-art research is that 80% of the published literature on technology is made up of patent onlys. Okay, the patents are a sort of strategic, technological and market information. We will see how is structured a patent and what is the information what we can extract from these patents. Okay, the patents provide early information and identify new technologies, allowing market trends to be anticipated. For example, in the pharmaceutical industry, the patents about medical new compounds are filing in the first step, when in the phase 1, when they only have some hints of, okay, I have this family of compounds that can be used, for example, for cancer, for treating cancer, but they don't have the specific compounds. So they development these compounds about 10 years, and the patent is filing in the first step, because they need to protect all the information before obtain the product, the final product that we sell in the pharmacy or in other states. Okay, so it's very important because you see, okay, it's the information of the patent application is published after 18 months from the filing. So you see a new family of compounds related to a specific type of cancer. So you see, okay, this is a trend. Probably the compound is one, and they cover 100 and 1,000. Okay, but it's very important to make this protection in an early stage. Okay, for example, in the pharmaceutical industry, is very typical. The patents have a structured information and are written in technical language. So it's very specific. It's a specific language. It's very difficult to understand. So if you want to file a patent application, it's important to contact to a patent specialist like me, because it's writing in a special way. Okay, you have some chapters. Okay, there's a title, it's a state-of-the-art review, it's a description of the invention, description of the drawings, an example of the invention, and a claims. Claims is the most important part of the patent, because all the information disclosed in these claims is what do you protect. So it's very important, but the language in which is written is very specific. Okay, so it's information that is structured and you can read and you can understand, but you cannot replicate this to try, okay, I will do my own patent application based on this. No, because the scope of protection is very important. You can protect a material, a method to make this material, the use of this material, and these have peculiarities or particularities about the writing type. Okay, and understanding a patent requires specialist knowledge. This is important because sometimes I say, okay, I see a method and a use of a material, and I say, okay, what's material? This is the title of the patent application, and I say, okay, or novel compounds, or new compounds, and you say, okay, compounds, what? So the title don't say nothing. You need to read the application, the patent application, no? Sorry. What is important to make this type of cert? Because it's important to avoid redundant research and development. There are 300 patent applications refused 8 years, wonder why, due to the lack of novelty. That is, it's something similar, so it doesn't make sense. The 30% of research and development investment in Europe is more likely to be on something that is already known. This is crazy. The consequence of redundant study reflect that 700 million euros are lost every year. So it's very important to find, okay, I have a new material that is known. Someone in India or probably in the United States or in Brazil is making the same research and development like me. Is very similar. Probably a partnership could be a good idea, better than probably a patent, but we need to search and to have a landscape of about, okay, this is my technology, where are the technology, what are the person who are develop this technology, okay? So it's very, 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 very important to search the state of the art and selection the technological information, for example, in specialized databases. The cycle to make this type of search, okay, is first made a definition of the technological area under study, the identification of a search criteria, keywords, patent documents, name of entities. Probably we know a competitor. Probably we know a patent document that sent me my colleague. Okay, I found this patent related to a material similar to you. Please look up. Okay, or keywords that you know, for example, materials. Okay, biopolymers. We can search in other language about English, English. For example, French, in German. Probably in Asian words is more difficult to find. When we have the definition of these words or patent documents or classification, okay, we start with the search. We made the search of the state of the art and a selection of technological information. Then we made a filter, okay? We filter all the information that we receive because sometimes it's too much and it's necessary to make a filter. And we can categorize this type of technical documents, for example, in patents and articles. It's important that the state of the art are all patents and articles, but sometimes it's very easy for research and development and universities to find articles, but more difficult to find patents, okay? And after all this, we need to make a treatment of this information, summarize of the main documents, select the relevant documents, and we can apply a bibliometric analysis, okay, to have trends. We will show you what this means, because it's, okay, bibliometric indicators. For example, you have all the information in the patent organized. You have a date, is the date of filing, the date of priority, the date of publication. So if you found 30 patents, you have 30 dates of publication, 30 dates of priority. You can make an analysis of when was the year of the most technology that was publication about this technology. So you can see if this technology have interest now or in the past. So, for example, it's a type of bibliometric indicator that is very useful to see, okay, my technology was developed in the 20s, so, okay, I don't have nothing because it's all already exists, so it's not interesting. The patent documents, what I said, is structured information, easy to search and analyze. It's important some fields that are present in the patent is the applicants, that is the company's organization developing technological solutions. So you can download this 30 patents that I found about our material, and I see who is the top applicants in the area. Probably we found that, for example, in biopolymers are an important company in Italy that we don't know. So probably we can offer our material to this company, probably is interested. The international patent classification, you can obtain some information of this classification that you can do other search, because this type of classification, what I do is, okay, is a material, is a specific type of material, so it's a code related to this specific material. We will see what is looks like this classification, okay? And the territory, because what I say is, okay, patents are national, it's international patent application, like Patricia said. Okay, European patent application, US patent application, Portuguese patent application. So it's very important to know what are where are the territories where I protect the inventions. Okay, so I say, okay, probably in Germany is a lot of interest or a lot of developers in this country, so probably it's a market of interest for our technology, no? This is a type of European patent application, okay? You can see that it's a date of publication, a date of filing. Other relevant fields are applicants, inventors, the title, the abstract, the drawings, and this classification, the IPC classification, okay? This IPC classification, the inventors or the applicant, they not know this type of classification. This classification is made by the European Patent Office or by the Institute of Patent, the IP in Portugal, the INPI, or the USPTO have another classification. For example, in this case, you have the international classification and you have the US classification, the CPC. So the USPTO, the Office of the Patents in US, made a classification of this technology. Okay, is for search. Is for make the search more easy. Okay, because if you relate a specific technology with a code, it's more simple to make the search. Okay, the abstract is always relevant. The drawings, if you see the EP application and the US application, is very similar. The fields are the same. The order is not the same, but always, if you see probably a Spanish application, the fields are the same. In Japanese or Chinese documents, is the same. Have always the same paragraphs. Well, where we can find these patents? Okay, this is our patent databases, free of charge. Okay, the INPI in Portugal, OPM in Spain, the USPTO in United States. Spatnet is about the European Patent Office. I will show you a more detail about these databases, because for me it's the best. It's free, it's very useful, and it's very friendly to make the search in these databases. The international databases of the WIPO, the Patent Scope, for me this is not very friendly for the user. So if I prefer the Spanish European Patent Office, the Patent Office in Spain, the databases is good, but for me is not the best. The best for me is the European Patent Office, because they are not related only for European applications. It's for worldwide application. So it's very useful because you have access to some Chinese and Japanese documents translated. It's a machine translation. Okay, it's not good. It's not the best, but you have access to the information. So it's free. It's official. And you have a complete report of the file. So I think that is, for me, is the best. You have other patent databases, Google, PKI, Lens. For Google Patents, it's probably the more famous, but for me, it's not the best. Sometimes the numbers of the patents are different from the other patent databases, more zeros or minor zeros. So it's very difficult to find some patents in Google Patents and go to the European Patent Office and try to find it. So for me, the recommendation is use PatentScoop, Spacenet, sorry. And are others private databases, for example, Derwent, PatBase, PatShare. They have some package to buy for license to search. Are very useful because, for example, for Chinese or Japanese, they do a better translation, and they made a summary of the invention that is very useful. It's not the abstract, okay, the patent have an abstract, but these databases, what I do is, okay, we have the patent and we do my own summary of the patent. So they have some functionalities very useful, but it's not cheap. It's not free. So it's okay. Drug Patent Watch is for pharmaceutical compounds. STM is not here, but is other important databases in the pharmaceutical field, but it's very expensive. So I recommend to use Spacenet. It's my favorite. This is the web page of the Spacenet. You have the link here, okay? You can enter directly your search, but I recommend to make an advanced search, because if you are not familiarized with this type of search, it's very useful to organize the information. Okay, what I have a title, I have a competitor, or what I have to start my search. So it's very important you have some fields, okay, text field, the names, the date. Probably you have a number of a patent application specifically, or you have a name of a competitor or a company that you know, or you want to visit to know, to probably a partnership or something like this. No, so it's very useful. It's very simple. You click on advanced search and you extract all this information, and you can make a search. For example, I made a simple search of chewing and caffeine, okay? And you find all these results about that contains these words, okay? All these patents are related in someone in the document related to chewing and caffeine. You can optimize this type of information if you use the advanced search. You can filter more this type of search, okay? For example, in this case, I select a Japanese application. You see that the patent can be translated, okay, it's a machine translation, but they can be very useful to know. For example, I have competitors in China or in Japan, and I want to know how is developing in this area. So we can make a search of this document or this area. We can select a Japanese or Chinese or other Asian document. we can see the translation of this document. Okay, not very accurate, but it's good for consult. And the most relevant part here is the global dossier. The global dossier shows you all the information about the prosecution of the application. Okay, all the search, if can be granted or not, and all this information is translated. So it's very useful to see a competitor. For example, we have a competitor and we want to monitorize this a patent application specifically. So we have all the access to all the information and translate. So for me, this patent databases is free, and for me it's very useful because you have a lot of information not only for European patent application. You have information about Japanese, Russian, Korean, US applications, other type of protection like this US designs appears in these databases. US patent plant, because the varieties of plants in United States is protected like a patent plant. Okay, it's a variety of a plant. And related to how to make a search, okay, a more professional search, okay, we use the words, but I want to use, okay, the International Patent Classification. Is very complex? No, it's not complex. You have the link here. It's a uniform international classification, so all the patents in the world are classified by this international patent classification, so it's good. It's an effective search tool. And CPC is the classification, the additional classification that used in the United States Patent Office that have this international patent classification, but with more subgroups. Okay, it's more specific, but I think that international patent classification is okay. So the international patent classification is classified in these sections, section A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and Y, that is new technological development, is related to emerging technological developments related to the mitigation of climate change. So if you are interested in the new development of technology to this environment, is the last section, okay? This structure is analogous to the structure of the International Patent Classification. However, it also has the new section, okay, that have a greater number of sub-classifications. So if you are interested in these new trends or new technologies, it's very important to go to this last section. For example, in this case, we try to search this IPC, okay? You see the first is the section, the second is the second level is the class, the third level is a subclass. So you can find for the section, but it's very large. You can search by the class, it's okay, it's less restricted, okay? But the subclass is okay. So if you don't know the exact IPC, it's okay to find to a subclass. And the group is the other level. You pay the game, okay? But can we find this in somewhere? Because I don't know all IPCs, okay? For example, in this case, this is related to the section of human needs. The A01 is forestry, animal husbandry, hunting, trapping, fishing. This is the class. I01B is the soils working in agriculture or forestry. If you see, it's like a scale, okay? A01B33/00 is milling tools with rotary drives. You are more specific, okay? And the A01B33/08 is a tool detailed, for example, adaptation of transmissions or gearing. So you go to the more less restricted to more restrictive, okay? For example, where we can find in this, you go to the link that I put in a few slides before, and you can see that is a scheme. RLC, okay, it's a compilation, catchwords. The important things here is the scheme and the search or catchwords, okay? You can make a search for this IPC related to the number or for the definition. For example, if I put in the search and I put mortar, okay, it's a type of material, you can obtain what are the IPC classification related to this specific material. So you can say, okay, I have a first filter and I have the technology more restrict. So, okay, it's better to try to find 7 or 8 IPC classifications, okay, that try to search in all one by one, okay. Other type is using catchwords, for example, for babies. For babies, we can see always also children. Okay, but for example, we want to know how about baby's walker. This is the code. Or incubator for babies. This is the IPC classification. Or napkins for babies. This is the classification. So you don't need to be an expert of this classification. We don't need to be an expert of this classification. You can find about the search or catchwords if it's something more similar. It's only available in English and French version. Probably the INPI have the Portuguese version in this website. For example, the Spanish Patent Office have the Spanish version in this website, in her website, okay? But in the WIPO IP portal is only available in English and French. But I think that probably understand English, so it's very useful to search because the code is the same in French, in English, in Portuguese, so it doesn't make sense to find, okay, in Portuguese. If you don't understand English, okay, but I think that no, it's not the case. So I think that it's very useful because it's another tool to search, to make a strategic search in the patent databases. For example, I have an example of made a search about a patent, okay, related to this technology related to a water system, okay. We talked in the last slides about the technological trends, okay? How can obtain and analyze the information obtained through the patents. For example, we can have some numbers of what are the number of patent families related to this technology, or the top technological leaders in this area that we analyze, or the top IPC technological trends. In this case, for example, is the classification that I see that I say that is the new emerging technologies. That is very important because some of these classifications are relating to nanotechnology. That is very useful. So I think that these classifications are adapted to the new area. So it's very important. So sometimes you have more than one classification because probably your material or your invention, your method, your device is in more than one area. So it's very important to have some IPCs mix this classification. And the last factor of the IPs is the human resource. For example, identify where IP is created, ensure the human resource knowledge of IP policies, project team, and training. For example, it's very important to the identification of the most active departments and within these research teams. Meetings with defined periodicity, okay, for submitting these projects. To make, basically, is to make a control of these innovations, okay? The survey of the IP created should be working out in consultation with the research and development teams to adequately protect the IP, okay? It's human resource, probably is the financial team, and we are the research and development team. So we need to make a collaboration with all to make an agreement to, okay, what is the state of our development? Is necessary to invest more money, or is necessary to contract more people to our team, or is not necessary and we need to use this resource to other projects, okay? And ensures that human resource knowledge of IP policies to awareness raising action for research and development teams is related to the legal teams. That is very important to know the ownership of these inventions. The project team, before starting a new project, is important the question of the ownership, again, of the IP produced, and the definition of possible benefits for inventions should be addressed. Even more relevant in collaborative projects is the same that I said, okay, we are the inventor, but we are not the proprietor of the invention. So sometimes human resources need to apply this and decide, okay, if you produce 1, 2, 3, 4 patents, you have more money, or you have a special benefit in the company, for example, or probably is included in your first contract, so it's okay. You have you are the inventor of a patent, but you don't have anything more, okay? And training is very important to the confidentiality, the protection. All the research and development team have to be concerned with this confidentiality, the divulgation of the information, the same information without control and without confidentiality is very important. For example, if you don't want to protect a patent, but if you want a trade secret, okay, it's very important to maintain this confidentiality, no? Training on the different system modalities, for example, the trade secrets, or probably is not a patent, but probably can be a design, or probably can be a new brand, okay? And the difference between them. So it's very important, this type of training, to know the different modalities and how to apply with them, okay? IP strategy and which factors are relevant for the assessment of applied technologies. And if everyone understands what needs to be protected, that is very difficult, but can be, they can better understand how to protect it and from whom to protect it. So it's very useful that all the people involved in these teams, human resource, the investigators, the financial team, that knows that what can be protected, how can be protected, what money, times, all the things related, the legal framework of this type of invention. This probably is the less the factor that probably we don't think a lot, okay, but it's very important.
This is the end of this session of the Capacity Programme for Technological Infrastructures. We thank you for your participation and look forward to seeing you in the next.